Now, if you're doing Alpha, and I'm sure you're doing Alpha, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this, and you want to get more people on your course, you set up the course differently in a missional church from a preservationist church from an attractional church. And here's the difference. In a missional church, you're not going to be able to rely on advertising. First of all, you're not going to have the budget for it. You have a very low overhead. You have very low visibility. And if you could advertise, you probably wouldn't be able to attract people to your venue, because it's probably in a fairly socially unattractive place. I mean, people don't think, let's go to the industrial park today for some fun, or let's go check this out, or strip mall. I mean, that doesn't really draw people either. So what you're going to have to do when you take the course is you're going to have to look at the people in your church who've had the most profound conversion experiences, especially if it's happened on Alpha. There's usually a handful of people who are very excited about what the Lord is doing in their lives because of Alpha. If you can find those people and ask them, who are your circle of friends? And can I meet them? Can I go see them in their normal social setting? We had a profound Alpha convert in our church, and our church is very missional. We're in an industrial park, and we had a woman whose life was transformed, and her name was Julie, and she has a whole circle of friends, of course, of people who don't go to church. And I asked, well, where do your friends hang out? She said, at the racetrack, at the horse racetrack. I've never been to one in my whole life. And so my wife and I went to the horse racetrack, and we got to meet all of her friends, and we're in the process of inviting all of her friends to Alpha, and she's brought more people to Alpha in just the last year than any other guest I've ever seen on the course in some 30-some courses I've taught. And I look at Lewis, whose faith came alive in the last course, and I look at Dave, whose faith came alive in the last course, and I look at all of the different people who were baptized and whose lives were transformed, and those are the people who bring the people to the next course. Now, if you're at a preservationist church, you've got a big advantage, and that big advantage is there's lots of people who think of your church as their church, even if they don't go to church. And those are these people. You probably have a preschool or something like it. The parents of the preschool children. Chances are your membership is older. It's not always the case, but it's usually the case. And if that's the case, you have adult children who don't go to church. You also have a beautiful building, most likely, and people want to do life passages there, like weddings and baptisms and funerals. And those people who are coming to your church for life passages are wonderful people to invite to Alpha. Yeah, we've got a pre-marriage course, you say, we call it Alpha, or we've got a baptism class, we call it Alpha, or whatever you want to do. It wouldn't work as well for funerals. But you can definitely work that fringe of your church, because every preservationist church has a very large fringe. And you can work that fringe and invite that fringe. Chances are you have them on your mailing list, so you don't even have to go out and find them. So work that group, and once again, in most preservationist churches, you don't have enough money for a whole bunch of advertising, and it's the personal invitation that makes the big difference. In an attractional church, if you have an attractional church, you've got between 6 and 25 what we call visiting units per weekend. And a visiting unit is a household or an individual who comes to church and identifies themselves as a visitor of your church. Now multiply that over 52 weeks and send the numbers up with Christmas and Easter and other places, and you get a whole bunch of people who are attracted to your church. Maybe they don't even go to the church, but they're bringing their kids to the Sunday school. And so the social attraction, there's a natural stream of people coming into your church, and you need to fish in the center of that stream. And just because they're coming to your church doesn't mean that they have a close relationship with Jesus already, or that they've got their faith figured out, or that they have a prayer life, or that they're at all practicing Christians. Most of them, perhaps, have some kind of church background. But Alpha, if it's a big funnel, can attract most of those people as the first step for getting to know people, because churches, like the one I'm in right now, especially for introverts, could be very intimidating just because of the size. And to give them a place where they can have dinner and make friends and connect with some people and know some people, it can be a really, really good way for people to connect with the church. So to review, the three basic flavors of churches vis-a-vis Alpha are missional churches and preservationist churches and attractional churches. And with missional churches, we look after the major hottest converts, and we go after their social network actively and invite them personally. In preservationist churches, we go after the very large fringe of people that are connected with the church. In attractional churches, you take advantage of the flow of people that God is bringing into the church, and you connect them with Alpha. Now, there's mixes and ways of blending that and doing lots of different things, but do try to identify the one major flavor or spin or feel or branding of your church so that you can kind of focus on one of those. Because when it comes to Alpha, one size doesn't fit all. So we'd love to have you get more people in your Alpha course, and we hope this will help you in your positioning of the course, and we wish you the best of success as you continue to reach those people around your area where the Lord put your church so that you could reach them.